Welcome to this week's edition of Red and Black Sport. Well, if you thought last week was a big week with Cup and show and everything else going on and a public holiday, you ain't seen nothing yet, because next Saturday night the place is going to go off, and already it's being talked around the traps by everybody I run into. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the Fight for Christchurch. It's an iconic sort of an event. The promoter of it is with me, Justin Wallace. Justin, just firstly, great to see you. Well
Thanks,
done.
Pete.
Good luck for Saturday night. I know it'll all go well because you do a very professional gig, that's for sure. Take us right back. When did it all first start? Where did it come from?
So back in 2009, actually, I had a phone call from my sister. There was a boxing gym down here in Christchurch that needed some help with putting on a
Now, your sister
event.
lives in Rotorua?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. She rang me up, and I went and saw the people at the gym and thought, yes, I can help you. They were boxing coaches. They didn't know how to organise
Did you have
events.
a real job then? What were you doing?
I actually had just been made redundant the year before from Telecom, and so I was just doing a bit of work. Actually, I was working for Canterbury Rugby League at the time,
Right.
as sponsorship and marketing manager. But that contract was coming to an end, so I thought, well, I need to find something else to do, and the phone call came, and yeah, the rest is history.
So what did your sister outline? What was she looking to do? Did she have any idea, or you had to create it?
Well, look, I come from a family of event managers. My family have been organising events since as long as I can remember. My mother, my father, my brother, my sister, myself. And so she said, look, they just need someone who can organise an event. And so I went down and saw them, and yeah.
Did you automatically thought it would be boxing, obviously, because you were working with a gym?
Yes,
Yeah.
I knew it was a boxing event because she had helped some of their friends organise one up in Rotorua, and this club wanted to do the same here in Christchurch.
Had you seen an event before?
Yes, I had. I'd watched many Fight for Lives,
Right.
and I did a bit of research. I don't actually have a boxing background.
No.
My background is rugby league.
Yeah.
That's my passion.
Very similar. Carry on.
So yeah, we did our first event in April 2010.
Now, the venue was interesting. Where'd
Yes.
you go for that one?
We went to Cal Stadium.
Cal Stadium. Now, of course, that was my day. I remember it very, very well from the Rams when they were there. You couldn't get a seat. It's quite a small venue. How many did you get for the opening one?
Just under 1,000 people in the first event. We had 48 corporate tables, and the rest.
Now, they
was
take up a lot of room, mate.
They do.
And the ring.
Yes.
Yeah. And you fitted them in.
We did. We fitted it all in.
Gee whiz, yeah, okay. So you started from scratch. How did you even entice anybody to box in those days?
It was really hard. You know, I was going through lists and lists of people, ringing everyone I knew, everyone that they knew, and begging people to get in the ring. And we cobbled together a list. Probably the highlight of that night was actually Mark O'Loughlin, who at the time was working for Bailey's, fighting his old company, Harcourt's, Takarate.
So had that how you'd seen it? Company
Yes.
against company?
Yes, I had.
Yeah, okay. So Fight for Life, whilst that was in the back of your mind, you know, you knew how Lonergan and Co put it together, you wanted a different style.
Yeah, we went down the corporate route. I thought, this could be an event for the corporate punters, and taking clients and guests. And
That's helped for rent-a crowd too, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Because they'll get behind their person.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so Lachlan had a crack, and I've spoken to him since then, because he's been involved since then himself. He's now with Harcourt's, of course. But anyway, so how did he stagger through the night himself?
Oh, he monstered Tar. They're both heavyweights, but he was a lot taller, a lot bigger, and he came out the big gorilla and went for it. And it was actually a great fight because Tar came back in the second round. Tar Karate.
Right.
Yeah, he came back in the second round and he took it to Mark, and Mark had Mark on the ropes, but then Mark came back in the third and took him out.
So how many bouts were there in the opening one?
There was 9.
9 bouts.
9 fights.
All male?
No, we had 2 female fights.
Where'd that
as
come
well.
from, the idea of that?
Well, I wanted to make sure there was a female element to it. We wanted our events not to just be a bloke event, and so we put the 2 girls' fights on. I have to say, the girls' fights actually were the most interesting.
Really? Yeah. I'm going to come back to you over that because I just have sort of mixed views on it. I'm not quite sure yet in my own head, but that's okay. So you had 9 bouts. Obviously, it went very well. What was your cause for the boxing club, was it?
Yes, no, back in that first event, we did it separate. We helped the club put their event on in December 2009, and then we carried on. Well, I carried on, with the event for April. And so each contender had their own charity that they wanted to raise funds for.
Right.
We raised $38,000 in our first event, and
amazing success.
It was a good, it was humble beginnings.
Yeah.
We sat there and we made a few mistakes, and people, they didn't know any wiser, but we got very positive feedback, and we thought, we should do this again.
The total, had you sort of set a goal in your mind? You know, you'd have exceeded probably what you thought of.
Yeah, I think the total I set back then would be nice to make 50. We made 38, and
Right.
we were still learning.
Right, okay. But that then sparked the flame, didn't it, to carry on?
It did.
Yeah, righto. What did you learn out of the first one that you put into the second one?
Well, we tweaked quite a bit actually. We developed a new website. We just got our marketing a bit more polished, and we worked some sort of more key high profile people to get in the ring for the event. We decided it went so well in April. This would be a great end of year event for corporates,
Right.
companies to take clients, staff, and
So they're
make it a
entertained,
Christmas.
they don't have to do anything, it's all laid on for them.
That's right.
How many did you get? Back at Cal's again?
Yes, it
How'd
was.
you go then?
Yeah, well, we ended up about 1,500 people at the second event.
That's amazing.
And there seemed to be a lot more interest around town about it.
How the hell did you service the tables? I'm just trying to think. How many tables do you have at that one?
We had 65
Yeah.
tables at that one.
How'd the staff get around it?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah, so, as I said, Continental, they provided the catering. They took care of all of that for me. They brought in a portable kitchen and
Right.
set it up there on site, and off we went.
So what was the structure of the second one? Same lines, company against company?
Yes, it was.
Okay, all right. And what was the total there?
We raised 55,000 in the second event.
So you'd grown it. It was
Yes.
great. Yeah, mind you had more people at it for a start.
We
didn't
did.
you? Yeah. So it was corporate and also Joe Public.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good mix, isn't it? Because I think some of them, when they're just corporate, it excludes people that really want to be part of it but don't know of a corporate or be involved that way. So
Yeah,
that
they
was
do.
good.
I mean, we had a rugby versus league fight in that one as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you come with a wee twitch?
Yeah, New Brighton Rugby versus Linwood League.
Oh, God, who won that?
The rugby guy,
Did they?
unfortunately.
Unfortunately for you, yeah. Okay. Then, of course, the world went upside down, didn't it? 2011, everything changed a hell of a lot. I suppose Cal's was out of the reckoning anyway, was it?
Yeah, it was closed down.
Right, okay. When we come back, it went up market, it went up scale, and it's just gone step after step, really, from there. He's got a massive program lined up. We're going to get into that as well. But Justin Wallace is with us. The Fight for Christchurch. That is Saturday night at Horncastle Arena now, as it's called. It's out at Addington Raceway. Tickets still available. We'll get into that as well with Justin when we come back. Welcome back. We're talking the sport of boxing. If you've never had a go at it, I tell you what, it is the most agonising and most demanding sport I think you could ever get involved in. And if you haven't done your prep, it is just 3 times harder to try and keep going. Two-minute rounds. Seems short, doesn't it?
It does.
They're buggered though, aren't they?
They are.
They really are. Okay, right. Christchurch went on its head, of course, upside down, change of venue. Big punt to go to the CBS Arena. It's a big room, isn't it, compared to Cal's?
It is. It
But
was
intimidating?
It was a bit nervous. We had you could say we had our backs to the wall, and a few people said, oh, maybe you should just pass doing it this year in 2011, and we thought, and then other people say, no, Christchurch really needs events like this. And
So what time of the year did you stage that?
we did it in November.
Right, okay. Yeah, so once again, coming towards that Christmas market.
Yes.
Not many other venues around either
No.
for people to go to. So, okay, same format again?
Yes.
Company and company?
Yes.
Did you do sport and sport?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We had a couple of sports fights in there. In fact, Hayley Holt from the Crowder Goes Wild, she fought that year against a young cyclist.
But did pretty well, didn't she?
Yes, she did. Yeah, she was a machine.
So had the celebs started to come to it a bit? They'd
Yeah.
seen a market in it?
Yeah, we had, that year there was Colin Slade was there as a guest, and a few other All Blacks were there, and obviously having Hayley in the event brought a bit of interest.
Did you have a specific charity for that, or was it still open to the contestants?
Yeah, that year we still had each contender could fight for a specific charity, so there was 69 charities.
When did pro fights come in?
That only came in this year.
Right, so we're still back in time in 2011. These are all people giving up their time. The stories you'd have heard of those that came in raw and then had to get into a training regime. They wouldn't have believed how tough it was, would they?
No, they don't. And it doesn't matter how much I explain to them, this is a tough event. It isn't for the faint-hearted. And I'm pretty upfront and honest with people who want to do it. I say, this is what you're in for. And quite often they don't listen because they're too excited about what they're going to look like on the night in front of all their friends and family. And in fact, I've just had that recently with a number of the contenders for the event this Saturday night.
Right.
They just didn't realise, even though I told them.
Yeah. If you think the coast to coast is difficult, that's over 24 hours. So, this is really only over 6 minutes. You wouldn't believe it's as tough. What do you say to the prospective scrappers as far as how much build-up time they should have?
Look, at the end of the day, they can train as hard as they want.
Yeah.
It's up to them.
But when are they advised they're in?
So we try to confirm our complete card 4 months out. So
4 months out.
They've got 3 months of training.
Right. And in some cases, that probably wouldn't be enough for some of them, would it? Depends how they go and approach it.
3 months is generally enough for them to get to a level of fitness that they're going to be all right.
Were most of them current sports people, or a lot of them had never had a crack at it before?
In the early days, it was a mix, But now we tend to steer towards people who have got a sports background and understand.
But may not have been involved for some time.
Yes.
I'm thinking of one that we're going to talk about that's actually on the card for Saturday night, who hasn't been involved for some time in sport, but was a good sportsman. Okay. Did the professional fights didn't come in until this year, did it?
That's right.
So all amateurs. A lot with reputations in other areas of their lives. So they put a lot on the line, didn't they? They're going to make a dork of themselves, They're pretty twitchy about it.
Yeah, we've had, city councillors, we've had press reporters, we've had a real mix of people from different backgrounds, business owners, well-known people around town. So there's been a good mix, but we're tweaking again. Once again, we're always looking how can we improve our events, and professional boxing is really where it's at for us now, and so we are moving into the professional boxing. How
did the first go at CBS Arena? How'd you get on crowd-wise?
Actually, we had a great crowd. We had 110 tables on the floor, and there's probably 1,000 in the stands, about 2,500 people, and it was a great venue. To be fair, we were all pretty starved at that stage of even entertainment, weren't we? So you probably you filled a niche market that was there. People I remember going to a function somewhere, I can't remember where it was now, and just a number of people said, "Gosh, it's good to get out." To go somewhere, to have a purpose, so you filled that need. So you cornered that bit of a market, which helped you a bit. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay, talk money, swear word. How did you go first year at the CBS?
Yeah, we raised 120,000 in that.
The story just keeps getting better, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, so it was an amazing amount that we raised. We actually, Charlotte Ballas, ex-TVNZ, she raised just shy of 20,000 on her own. And that's really when we kicked off the big money that we now raise. And again, we had tweaked how we raise. Although that year we kept charities for each contender, the following year, 2012, we went to 3 charities. Right.
You'd sort of seen the light that was the way to go. 3 charities really benefit substantially rather than scattergun it.
Well, there's a number of reasons. Yes, we could give a bigger chunk of money to 3 charities, but we could also be more strategic with those 3 charities. Rather than 16 charities, we couldn't get around them all and sit down and talk through how we were going to raise money for them. With 3 charities we can. So we actually sit down with our charities regularly. We strategise on how we will make as much money for them as possible.
Right. You've still got to promote it, don't you? And that's an expensive business. To get it right, to get the advertising where you want it, to get the word out, it's an expensive go, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a number of ways that we advertise, and from paid radio advertising to the press to Facebook. We look at all avenues.
How big's social media for you?
Very big. Yeah, it is a big part.
Sort of a sleeping giant, really, isn't it? That people don't quite latch onto, and perhaps they should. So that's a market that you've got, and they look forward to hearing about it and wanting to be part of it. Was good. Okay, so the 3 charities did very nicely out of it the next time.
They did.
Yeah, that was back at CBS.
Yes.
Yeah. Numbers that time?
140.
Yeah. How many people?
There would have been about 2,500.
Yeah.
That's same number again.
Yeah. Okay, so that really hadn't grown, but certainly the investment in the fighters had grown. Let's go to women's boxing. It doesn't, I had the privilege of being at the fight for the rebuild, the Battle of the Rebuild. I don't find it offensive. It doesn't sit that comfortably with me, women fighting women. But that's they're talented and they're skillful. I don't take anything away from it. But has there been any feedback that, gee whiz, you know, I'm a bit twitchy about it?
Not much.
No.
Yeah, most people love it.
They love it. Yeah, okay. Can we just, we've only got a minute in this part to go, but can we just clear up, at the Battle of the Rebuild, was headgear optional?
Yes.
Why?
Look, I clarified that with the New Zealand Professional Boxing Association. I said, is it compulsory? You know, and they said it is not, because they are actually registered as a corporate professional fighter, not as an amateur. So, and even in amateur rules now, it's not compulsory.
But were they not prone to greater risk because of a lack of skill by the fact they don't have headgear? That was the thing that sort of jarred with me. I thought,
you're not going to get, headgear's not going to stop getting punched in the nose.
No.
You know,
but a whack in the Swede could.
Yeah. But look, I leave it up to each individual. If one wants to wear it and one doesn't, that's their prerogative.
Yeah. But the women particularly just didn't seem to go it, did they?
No. Well, you sweat a lot, and you can't wipe your brow with a boxing glove on, so you got sweat coming down over your eyes, and you know it can get in the way.
All right, we're going to a break, but when we come back, we're going to now step into the ring, as they say, for next Saturday night. Really looking forward to it. It's at Horncastle Arena, which is the old CBS, for anyone who's not quite sure. Tickets still available. We'll go through all that with Justin Wallace in a minute. Back for the last part, we're talking pugilism, of course, the sport and art of boxing, and it's going to be here on Saturday night. The organiser is Justin Wallace. He's built up quite a rapport now with how you actually go about doing a successful event. And we're going to take him to, correct me if I'm wrong, June, top of my head. When did you do the Battle for Christchurch?
2nd of May.
2nd of May, yeah. Beyond your wildest dreams?
Yeah, it was a fantastic night.
It was. Well, if we start with the money, I mean, what was raised? Over 250,000?
256,000.
Unbelievable money. And people came out of the woodwork to support it. You had a huge crowd, didn't you?
Oh, we did. Yeah, our biggest since we started.
Yeah. And I think the way you pitched it was great. But can we just go to David Reid of David Reid Homes? You know, it was almost too emotional to watch the man step. He had the last fight, didn't he? And he came in, he'd raised the most amount of money, and his age was 50-something?
50.
50, yeah, and he boxed out of his skin, didn't he? The crowd had him, of course, didn't they? They wanted him to win, and he did it fair and square, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
No, it was a very close fight between him and Johnny Jackson from Jim the Builder, and it was a great fight. They both gave it their all, and you know, Johnny, he had a big support contingent there.
He did. Noisy they were too.
Yeah, 100 people, 10 tables from Jim the Builder, and David came out and he did the business.
Well, funny enough, I interviewed his wife before the fight. She said, this is the silliest thing he's ever done. I'll never be able to talk to him or recognise him again. Well, he held more than his own, didn't he?
He did.
He took a hell of a hiding, but he got through it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Real icing on the cake, wasn't it? Now, you had an auction there too, which went extremely well.
That's right.
Is that built in now as part of the activity?
Yeah, we've always had an auction. The way our event works is each individual fighter has to raise money leading into the event. We went into that event with 140,000 already in the bank, and we raised the rest that night, so over 100,000 with the auction. And
it was very successful. The ex-scrapper, of course, did the auction, didn't he, Mark Lachlan, which was great. He had a feel for it, knew how it went. The outpouring of the public was just amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, the construction companies really got behind it in a big way. You know, you had, like Fulton Hogan, they had 120 staff up in the stands to support their two fighters, actually. Hawkins were the same, had 80 in the stands, and you saw high-vis vests everywhere. And
the noise. I mean, they really got in behind the guys and girls, I can tell you that much. So the format for Saturday, well, firstly, where do we get our tickets from? How do we get there? Still tickets available?
There is, yeah. So you can go through our website to get tickets at www.fightforchristchurch.co.nz.
Right.
Or if you are just looking to get tickets in the stands, you can go to ticketek.co.nz.
Right. Okay. Reasonably unlimited, I would have thought, for tickets in the stand, isn't it? I mean, it's a big arena.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Your corporate's all gone, your tables?
No, we still have tables left.
Great.
Which are, people can book tables through our website.
Right. Coming up to Christmas, it's certainly something that your staff or customers would never ever probably envisage having such a hell of a good night. The food was excellent, wasn't it? The delivery of it was great. I thought everything just went so well for you in May.
Yes.
Yeah, with a big crowd. Okay. Stars, who have we got?
So look, this event has actually got 2 pro fighters.
Which you indicated you're moving towards more
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. We did have 3, but unfortunately, one Chris Bamford, the captain of the Canterbury Bulls,
he fought well last time.
He did. It was to be his second fight, and he was going to be fighting Clarence Tillman, but he's picked up an injury in this lead in. So unfortunately, we've had to withdraw Chris from this event this Saturday night. So the top billing is actually Reece Papuni, who just won the New Zealand light heavyweight title against Sam Rapira on the Joseph Parker card just last month. So
Who's he against?
Reece is fighting a young lad from Australia called Joel Casey. Joel's a very experienced professional. He's been around for a long time. He's had over 30 professional fights.
Now, when you say professional, are they fighting for a purse?
Yes, they are.
They are. So that's different from the other fighters on the bill.
It is.
Yeah, which is fair enough. That's their job, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Do they still get support, though?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, towards a charity?
Well, after Reece's win last month against Sam Rapira, he's got a big following, and this will be his first big fight on his home soil. He's a proud Cantabrian, and he approached me and said, "Justin, I really want to fight in front of my home crowd." There was another event after ours, but very much smaller scale. But he said, "No, I want to fight on the bigger stage."
Now, man, we talked about previous good sportsmen. A guy who went to St Andrews College, he was a bit behind me, but Jeff Cavill, an amazing character, tough as teak as a prop he was for old boys. They didn't have any tough props in those days, but he was one of them. Ex-copper, Winnebagos, and he's decided he's going to have a go. And he was going to be here today, but he couldn't make it, which is unfortunate. But he must have trained the house down to be ready for it.
Look, Jeff's been training since the start of the year for this fight. We actually confirmed him and his opponent, Chris Castley, back in January.
Right.
It was just over a beer at Winnebagos with the 2 of them, and they says, "Right, we want to do this." And the interesting thing is they're actually very good friends.
Right.
They're 2 close mates, and they're going to
Jeff wouldn't have been in the best of nick by then either in January. No, he had a bit of work to do.
Jeff has actually been coming to my event since we started, and he expressed to me a few years ago he wouldn't mind doing it, but at the time his wife Wendy wasn't very very keen. She still isn't.
Yeah.
And but Jeff's been through a bit of a tough patch with his restaurant Winnie's. Knocked down twice and
shifted all the time.
And he's had a few issues and that have sort of.
I think it's terrific he's stepping up. I really do. What's your fight of the night?
Look, I'm really looking forward to a number of fights actually. Probably one to mention is our second pro fight is a young lad called Harry Scaife. Now Harry has had over 70 amateur fights. He's been a New Zealand champion 4 times as an amateur. He's been a Jamson belt winner. He's only 22. It's his pro debut, and he comes from a family of boxers. His father was a New Zealand champion. His grandfather was a New Zealand champion. His grandfather actually brought Muhammad Ali to New Zealand in 1979.
Good Lord.
So he has.
It's in the blood.
Yeah, it's in the blood. Now,
Who's he up against?
Harry's fighting a young lad from Auckland called Ricky Campbell, and for his first.
There's been raps about him, hasn't there? Ricky Campbell, I'd heard, I think Dobbo told me about him ages ago, so yeah.
Yeah, look, Harry, his experience and his speed, he should, I think Ricky will, the reason we chose Ricky is because we know that Harry will probably get taken the 4 rounds with Ricky, which is what we want.
Yeah.
So for Harry, we want him to have those 4 rounds to fight them out.
Now, I can let you into a bit of a secret. I think for $100,000, you could get Justin Wallace to take his beard off. Mrs. Wallace not happy with the beard, not happy, okay? $100,000, it could be yours. I don't know what the hell you'd do with it, but are you going to put it on the block, mate, or not the beard?
Well, I hadn't thought about doing it that way.
I think Mrs. Wallace is in at $50,000, so that's a help. You're halfway there.
Yeah, no, she would like to get rid of it.
So it may go by Saturday?
It may do.
It may do. So there, watch this space as well. If you see a clean-shaven guy, say, well, it's not the guy who was with Pete Smith on Monday night. Well, it is. So I wish you the very best of luck. It'll be a great occasion again. It's a real thing on the calendar. Justin Wallace, been great having his company. That is Saturday night at the Horncastle Arena. Tickets still available. Catch you next week for another Pete Smith Hosts.